Am I the butthole for prioritizing a random guy over my girlfriend? So I, 27 male, work at a bar, and yesterday after the bar closed a guy came up to me. Let's call him Jason. He looked young, like only just old enough to get it. And he loudly asked me when we were leaving, not obnoxiously loud but still loud enough so others heard him. I didn't know Jason and asked what he meant. He said Jessica said you would give me a ride home. I don't know a Jessica. He then takes out his phone and says look, she texted me. He held up his phone and pressed the power button and the dead battery screen showed up. And looked back at him and he looked desperate and terrified. I then saw this man staring directly at Jason. It then clicked that Jason was scared and needed an out. I pretended to check my phone and acted like I just saw the text from Jessica and walked him outside. The man followed, so I walked him to my car and quietly told him I would drive him to the gas station that was 3 minutes away. We got into my car and drove off and luckily, the guy didn't follow. I let Jason use my charger to charge his phone and drove him to the gas station. He called his roommate to come get him, and I waited with him until his ride arrived. Once Jason had left with his roommate, I started to drive home. Due to a mix of road works and helping Jason, I got home about 20 minutes later than I should have. When I got back, my girlfriend, 25 female, was giving me the cold shoulder. An hour after I got back, she finally talked to me. She was upset that I was late and didn't call her. She had a friend that worked nights and she got jumped, mugged and died. She worries about me, so we agreed that I would always call her if I was going to be late. I normally do but just forgot. When I explained what happened, she was upset that I prioritized a stranger over her and that I should have cared about her more and remembered. Now I know I'm not the butthole for helping Jason, but I really worried my girlfriend and a simple phone call wouldn't have been that hard. I've never forgotten before, but I've never been in that situation before. So am I the butthole? Edit. Please stop asking if staying with my girlfriend is worth it or telling me I should end it because she has emotions and trauma. She was upset that I prioritized a stranger over her and that I should have cared about her more and remembered. I may be downvoted to oblivion, but if her reaction to your explanation is this, I would say that is a red flag. This is borderline narcissistic, if not full-blown. She has an issue that she should deal with, and soon. Not the butthole. In fact, you are more than just not the butthole, you did great. You are probably that young man's hero. Your girlfriend should have been proud, but she chose to act like that. ETA, what prevented the girlfriend from calling you instead? If she was that worried, she should have called you. So, I'd call bull on her using past trauma. Unless she tried to call you but you didn't see/hear/take the call, I'm not convinced that her past trauma would be a valid explanation for her behavior. AITA 2, when I said she has an issue, I'm not claiming that the girlfriend has personality disorder like narcissism. If her past trauma is the cause of how she acts like this, she has an issue to consult a professional because her behavior was so extreme. If she indeed has narcissism, she also has an issue to consult a professional. But I just wanted to point out that her past trauma doesn't seem to make sense as a reason to use silent treatment, to say something so selfish like the quote above, and to prevent her from calling/texting the original poster. After the entire original poster did help a person from possibly ending up in the same situation as her best friend. AITA 3, thanks for awards. Yeah, it's one thing to be worried about him, though like you say she could have called, plus it was 20 minutes. It's another to make it about him not prioritizing her. I'm a bit of a worrier. If someone doesn't text me that they made it home safely after hanging out or takes an uncharacteristically long time to reply, usually like 12 to 36 hours depending on the person, I start to worry they got in a bad car accident, are dead in a ditch, etc. So you know what I do. Text the person to follow up and make sure they got home safe/are all good. I know the most likely scenario by far is that they just forgot/have stuff going on. Sorry to comment on the higher up posts, but just a heads up to original poster, if he works as a bartender/at a bar, that if he encounters another situation like this where a customer needs help, which unfortunately is really common, what he should do is contact the police. Who knows if that guy would have followed and done something to the both of them? Your intentions were pure, but just consider that if this stranger was terrified of this guy, that means you should be too. Stay safe out there and leave escorting to the police. While I agree in theory, I think it's fair to point out that for a lot of different populations, that's a scary and dangerous thing in itself. While I'm not sure letting a customer into your car is safe in itself, I think it's important to consider that. Instead, it might be a good idea to consider local alternatives, like safe walk organizations that will go with you to your car or stay with you at the bus stop, etc. Not every community has them, but for those that do, I'd look into them. Not only do some communities have well-earned discomfort with the police, my personal experience with the police is that they're ambivalent at best about these sorts of situations, and good effing luck with trying to get them to respond in a timely manner. Came to say a similar thing. In a lot of cities, cops can take hours, if at all, to show up. Especially like in this case where both parties involved are men. I think the police would be a lot more sympathetic if Jason is a woman. Very unfortunate either way though. Remember those two cops that took a drunk woman home from a bar and took turns raping her over the next 20 hours, even going on to shifts and coming back? This was in NYC a few years ago. They did no jail time either. Edit. Oops, 2 different women in NYC. Web link. Common problem. In my country, I recall a time period where women actually had to be warned not to follow a cop back to their car if they were stopped. They were told to either get out their phone and start filming, or stay within view of their own dashcam. And they never do proper jail time, because the people running the investigation are their friends and coworkers. One of the first things my mom told me when I started driving was that I should drive directly to a crowded, well-lit area, or a police or fire station if possible, if a cop tried to pull me over and I otherwise felt unsafe. It's sincerely depressing to think about how many survival tips my female friends and I collectively have received. And the friends and coworkers also want to rape people and otherwise take advantage of their position, so they won't do anything. In fact, they will just blame the victim. Laughing out loud. Nope. What were you wearing? Is still asked of women by police. A woman was recently murdered by her stalker after the police fined her for falsely reporting him 5 times. Don't know what planet you're on. Yeah, don't do this. There are so many reasons calling the police might lead to unnecessary trouble for people. Exactly. What would have happened if the cashier had simply declined to accept George Floyd's $20 instead of calling the police on him? Indoctrinated racism is real, and effing disgusting. He'd be alive right now, if I'm correct. I've never experienced the police contributing anything positive to any difficult situation I've been in. In a perfect world. In the real world, cops aren't always the good guys, and when they are, there isn't much they can legally do before a crime's even occurred. Realistically, they would take an hour to get there, and then shrug their shoulders and say we'll start a paper trail, but he hasn't committed a crime, so we can't do anything. And then God knows what would have happened to the guy in danger, especially because the creepy guy would know that he called the cops. Police are designed to be the punishment, not prevention. If you can prevent something from happening in the first place, you always should. Really good point. The idea that the police will come for one guy is scared because another guy is starting at him is incredibly optimistic in my experience, especially quickly, for the number of times calling the police has resulted in them not showing up at all or showing up hours later. Yikes. What a horrible, horrible bit of advice. Do not call the police. They do jack effing crap in situations like this. Y'all do not listen to this advice, you'll end up worse off than before. This. I worry too, but if my boyfriend got home late, without replying to the text I would have inevitably sent, and told me this story, I would be so proud of him for being such a great person that he did this for a stranger. I would rather be stressing than know that someone was in danger because he felt obligated to come home to me. 20 minutes isn't that long anyway. Lots of things can cause someone to be 20 minutes late, and this is a very good reason for it. Good job, original poster. This. My partner and I are both worriers, so if one of us is later than they should have been, the one waiting will call to check in. Original poster. I wouldn't say dump your girlfriend, but she has some stuff she needs to work on in therapy. It would have been just as easy for her to check in with you. I do that. My kid texts me in safe. When he gets there. One time he didn't and I texted him in safe. He sent back yes and we all went along with our lives. First time in a while, he'd forgotten. And he started doing it, I didn't request it. Good kid, my explanation on why I don't worry. He is meeting his girlfriend. If he didn't show, she would have called me to ask what's up. Safety systems clearly in place. And since he texts me, I went out of town and texted him when I got there. Not the butthole for helping someone out. Original poster girlfriend might need to talk with someone about being anxious if she doesn't hear from you. 20 minutes isn't long. I get stuck in traffic for more than 20 minutes some days. And don't stop helping those who are clearly in trouble. Exactly. Being pissed he didn't think about her feels like a test rather than her anger being born out of genuine concern. Not the butthole. I get really anxious about people being late, but I just call people if they're late beyond how long I can wait without being anxious. Yeah, 20 minutes can be bad traffic. Do you want your boyfriend to start pulling out their phone while behind the wheel? That's exactly a point I made in one of my comments, too. You can get in legal trouble just for holding your hand in a position that looks like you're holding a phone. You cannot pull your phone out to text someone when you're in traffic. Is she going to flip out like this every time he's in traffic? Agreed on all points. I can understand being a little upset that your partner got home a bit late without notice. But that kind of reaction over 20 minutes is a bit off. Not the butthole. Right? She gave him the cold shoulder for 3 times, as long as he was even late for. I worried my girlfriend. Over 20 minutes? Just how short is his leash? He probably saved a kid's life and she is angry that he actually took 20 minutes away from her to do it. That's not necessarily a narcissist's move. If we are really doing armchair diagnosis, then it might as well be untreated anxiety. Her not calling him might be her attempt as to not overreact, which then went out the window when he couldn't provide a good enough reason to calm her down. I'm not saying that is a good reaction, nor that she doesn't need therapy, but you guys need to consider that not everything is done out of malice and lots of people do have past traumas. Again, do they justify a poor reaction? Nope. Do they provide a motif for the poor behavior? Yes. This is borderline narcissistic, if not full-blown. Please do not armchair diagnose people with disorders you're not educated about. If my partner is late and forgets to call or text, I always call him to check up. Phones work both ways. She is not narcissistic, she was crazy worried. Have you never been so worried about someone getting hurt you lash out at him or her? My dog tried to eat garlic and wouldn't drop it until he had chewed it properly. I got super angry and was strict with him, and only because his actions made anger and me panic was an outlet. Afterwards, of course, I realized that wasn't justified and we made up again. Op's girlfriend likely knows he had good reasons, but anger isn't always rational and reasonable, especially not when fueled by worry. She likely spent the time he was late worrying about him being killed and worked herself up. They had a fight. Couples have fights about stuff like this all the time, especially around big baggage like she has. She will likely apologize to him the next day once she has had time to think on it. No buttholes here. Try not to worry. Original poster, you'll both be fine. Edit. Stuff like this really makes me think this sub is just full of teens. Guess what, guys? Relationships aren't perfect and they don't have to be, and most people are unreasonable or angry some time or another. Not everyone needs therapy, provided it doesn't happen often. If her past trauma is the cause of how she acts like this, she has an issue to consult a professional because her behavior was so extreme. If she indeed has narcissism, she also has an issue to consult a professional. Original poster said she just gave him the cold shoulder because she was worried for his safety due to something traumatic that happened to her. For all anyone knows, she was panicking during those 20 minutes. This is not extreme, nor does this make her look narcissistic. /user_key_medium9048, you're not the butthole, but the post I'm replying to here is mischaracterizing your girlfriend so badly that I had to triple take trying to figure out where this narcissism accusation came from. I didn't find it. She needs therapy, obviously, but damn. Reddit link. Your life should revolve around me, my needs and wants, and you should always intuitively know what those are. No exceptions. Original poster's girlfriend. Not the butthole. Oh, God, your comment gave me flashbacks. Well now, that's an exaggeration. He didn't call that he was going to be later, so she got worried. And she could have called him? She can worry, yes, and that feeling is valid, but after original poster explained what happened, it should have been the end of it. Even if she had called him, he wouldn't be able to answer while he's driving. He was 20 minutes late. For all she knew, there was traffic or something. She gave him the cold shoulder over 20 minutes. She wasn't relieved when he showed up fine, she was angry. Wow, some of you people on here should really get a life instead of extrapolating from these posts. Not the butthole, and giving you the cold shoulder for an hour isn't a way to treat you. She could have just asked that next time you try to remember to text her. You did a good thing. Yeah, I'm a bit confused. He was only 20 minutes late, even after driving and waiting for the stranger. Then she didn't call him while being worried. Then he got home and rather than ask what happened / is he okay, she ignored him? If I was worried about someone's safety and calling them didn't cross my mind, when they came through the door I'd have a million questions to make sure they were fine. The concern sounds less about him and more about her having someone around to protect herself in case of a late-night attack. One time my wife was late coming home, which was unusual because she worked late nights, so there was no traffic. It was about an hour and I always had dinner ready, so I was accustomed to checking the window for her car to judge time frame. After 30 minutes I was worried. I looked at traffic, and there was a huge accident on her route. So of course I panicked and thought something horrible happened to her, which was not rational at all. She was probably behind it, stuck in traffic. I texted her, but she doesn't use her phone while driving ever, so she didn't see it, of course. When she finally drove up and walked in, I was hysterical and crying and she thought someone died. I explained what happened and she consoled me. She had gotten gas and had been in that traffic. I didn't blame her for being late and I apologized for being crazy. She wasn't mad, just worried about my sanity. It was a one-time thing. I just happened to be way more hormonal at the time and fear got a hold of me. I can't understand how Ops Girl could possibly blame them and not even ask what happened as soon as they walked in the door. Communication is awful with her. Past trauma is not an excuse. Not the butthole. Right. This is exactly how I'd react if I was concerned. Trying to contact the person, check the news, and ask questions for what's going on, all of that. She did all of 0. What if original poster had been hurt? She'd never know. Just be mad he didn't show up. If she is suffering from trauma, it's out of her own concern for herself and not him. Exactly. What if he had been in a small accident, done all the proper steps and arrived home a bit sore only to find his girlfriend mad at him for something entirely out of his control? If you're truly concerned about the other person, you ask questions first, get mad later. She needs to deal with her emotional trauma issues. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to be the first to know about Red Rabbit Reader's new videos. If you like our videos, please like them on YouTube and share them with your friends. We welcome your comments below. Press to start another of our videos.